What's going on, everybody? Cleanspark just released their Bitcoin mining update for the month of June. So let's look over it. It also gives us an idea of what their revenue is going to look like. Now, sorry if you hear my kids in the background. Let's get into this. I'm going to show you Cleanspark on the chart, Bitcoin on the chart. It looks like it's just starting a breakout. And of course, we're going to look over the press release from Cleanspark regarding their mining update. Hit the like, subscribe, ring the notification bell if you like these videos, and let's take a look. And here's their June Bitcoin mining update. I'll leave their investor relation tab down below for you in the description, along with some stocks and cryptos that you can get for free just by signing up to some of the links. Now, first off, a quote from Zach Bradford, the CEO. "We made substantial progress growing our Bitcoin holdings this quarter, while continuing to advance our growth plans. This was a quarter of execution for us, as we expect the Washington expansion to go live later this week. We also anticipate our recently announced acquisition, 2 facilities located in Dalton, Georgia, will be fully operational this month." And they are actually already adding miners and making progress there. This is a tremendous accomplishment as we work to build some of the finest Bitcoin infrastructure in North America. Now, looking at the numbers, you'll see the Bitcoin mined in June is 491, and we'll touch on why it isn't, going to 700-800 lately, why it's actually been kind of decreasing while they've been building up their hash rate. We'll look at the difficulty levels of mining Bitcoin in a second here. But their calendar year 2023 Bitcoin mined so far is nearly 3,500. Total Bitcoin holdings is 529. This did increase. They actually did mine more than they sold for this month. And they did convert 413 of the Bitcoin mined of the 491. So they did actually add to their HODL balance. And they are currently sitting at about 68,678 of their latest generation Bitcoin miners with a current hash rate of 6.7 exahash per second. Now, those 413 Bitcoin that they sold at about 27,200 per Bitcoin. Sales of these Bitcoin gave them about 11.2 million. So that number there gives us basically how much revenue we're going to see if we look over the previous 2 months behind this month. And we'll go over that math in just a second, and I can essentially give you what their revenue should be. And they reached a daily Bitcoin mine average of 16.4 and a high of 17.4 per day. Now, I personally think, the numbers are a bit lackluster, to be honest. The Bitcoin mine, the daily average, all that stuff, just due to Bitcoin's difficulty of mining. And the network difficulty to mine Bitcoin is actually near an all-time high, and we will look over that. But what I'm saying is basically that is a bit disappointing, but what is great here is these operational updates. So Dalton, which they recently acquired these 2 facilities, if you guys remember, they actually began hashing at those sites almost immediately after the acquisition was announced in late June. Machines are being racked daily, with about 1,500 machines currently online and another 4,500 expected to go live in the coming weeks. So our next Bitcoin mining update should see a nice increase in daily Bitcoin mined, in revenue for the month, in hash rate. We also have an update from Washington. This 50 megawatt expansion is expected to energize by the end of the week. That's pretty huge. Over 14,000 machines are racked and ready to start hashing. Now, we also have an update from Sandersville. Crews continue to make major headway as they prep the land for Cleanspark's ambitious expansion in Sandersville. The planned expansion will add over 6 exahash per second to Cleanspark's mining operations. So we definitely have some huge things coming in the works. They're definitely making progress in each of their facilities and building that hash rate up. And while it is a bit disappointing that, network difficulty has risen, so it's caused, when you look over the previous months, it's caused their monthly mining Bitcoin number to kind of decrease. We have seen some months where they mine nearly 700 Bitcoin in a month, 500, 600 Bitcoin in a month. And it's been decreasing a bit while Bitcoin's been somewhat stagnant. So I think the real good thing here in this mining update is their operational updates regarding their recent acquisition of those 2 facilities, and of course Sandersville and Washington. Those updates there are big, and we should see an increased hash rate moving forwards in the coming up Bitcoin mining updates. But let me know what you guys think of this mining update. Are you a bit disappointed? Are you a bit impressed? And next up, let's actually look at the network difficulty here. And this is based on a 3-year chart you'll see, and you'll notice that difficulty just, for the most part, you'll see just moves on up and to the right. We do see some dips along the way, but generally, network difficulty moves up and to the right, and you can see in the all-time, it just continues to balloon. Network difficulty will continue to grow. One thing you'll also notice, let's just zoom in a little bit more. One thing you'll see is price sometimes increases higher than network difficulty, and it sometimes decreases under network difficulty. It sometimes comes under the network difficulty. And this is when the shakeout happens. This is when the miners get a run for their money. Are they gonna survive? Are they gonna fail and go bankrupt? We've got through this point already. Bitcoin is already, in my opinion, in an uptrend, and soon it will surpass network difficulty, as we have seen before in previous cycles. So in my opinion, to me, there's a great indicator of when to buy and when to consider selling. When the difficulty is above the price of Bitcoin, I think it's a good time to buy. When the difficulty is under the price of Bitcoin, I think it's a good time to at least consider trimming some profits and reassess what you want to do with your Bitcoin holdings as an individual investor. But I will leave this down below for you if you're interested. You can look at different time frames. There's a lot of other stuff you can check out here as well, but let's move forwards here. All right, now I wanted to show you what our revenue for Cleanspark should be looking like. We should be right around a $36 million quarter. There could be some other things that they do to add to their revenue rather than just Bitcoin mining purely, but just based off their Bitcoin mining numbers, their sales from selling Bitcoin from June, April, and May, we're looking at about 36 million. April, they pulled in 11.2 million. May, they pulled in 12.9, and June, they pulled in 11.8 million, adding up to 35.9 million. And if you're very familiar with this company, if you're familiar with these videos, you know that they need right around $52 million for this quarter, at least in terms of expectations. So it is very likely they're going to miss revenue expectations on this quarter, and we may see a great buying opportunity here when they report earnings somewhere around August. One thing we will see is year-over-year revenue growth, which of course is always a good thing. One thing we're also going to see though is quarter-over-quarter revenue decline. In their last quarter, they got right around $42 million in revenue, so we will have a sequential or quarter-over-quarter decline in revenue, which I think could bring us a buying opportunity. Now, one thing I wanted to look at on the chart and show you guys is we are still facing this resistance right around 520. We had a nice little run today on this Bitcoin mining update, which honestly kind of surprises me, but when you look into the actual operational updates that they gave regarding their facilities that they're increasing mining at, I could see why it rallied today. But when you look at purely the numbers and where they sold their Bitcoin at and where, you know, revenue is likely to sit at, I'm kind of a bit surprised to see this rally. But what we really need to see is we need to see the price consolidate here so it can actually break out. If we just get too much of a run, it's going to become overbought. People are going to start taking profits, and it won't give us the oomph we need to break this resistance. What I want to see is a nice consolidation near resistance and then a breakout that can continue and not get rejected. And I did want to bring up Bitcoin because it is moving a bit here. It's been just following this beautiful uptrend here. We have a very strong resistance here at 32,500, 32.5. That was a previous resistance back in May of 2022. So a little over a year ago now. As for a more local resistance, we need to break right around 31.5, 31.4. If we can break this for Bitcoin, next stop is right around this 32.5 that I just mentioned. I think this will be a pretty hard level to break, but we'll see. Personally, I wouldn't be surprised to see Bitcoin consolidate a little bit longer, maybe even pull back, maybe test this lower trend line here, this ascending line here, but time will tell. And I still think it's a great opportunity to add to Bitcoin, to DCA. Don't go all in on run-ups like this. I think that if you're worried about getting left behind, or if you're, confident that, oh, I want to buy at 25 or 20, you have your strategy and that's fine. I personally think DCAing is a great way to go right now. We all know the halving is coming up. We all know that all these ETFs are coming out, spot ETFs they're working on. Even if they get rejected, I think there are a lot of positive catalysts for Bitcoin moving forwards. And of course, chart-wise, I'm extremely bullish on this because of the chart. We are above an ascending 50 and 200 MA, and they are both pointing upwards. We saw our golden cross, and since then, we've been continuing to run. I think everything is setting up perfectly, and I wouldn't be scared to buy a little bit of Bitcoin if it goes up to 32, 33, 34,000, knowing that there's a lot more euphoria ahead. And same goes with Cleanspark, regardless if Cleanspark breaks 520, I think it'll still be a great buy. And the way to go about this is look at it more like a company and not like a stock. And looking at this as a company and not just a stock, we're seeing continued hash rate growth. I believe that Cleanspark will stay as a top Bitcoin miner. I think there's an extreme amount of value there over the next decade. If Cleanspark can remain a top Bitcoin miner, then everything that the bears are complaining about, dilution, low cash balance, unprofitable, all those things are completely irrelevant. Because if you see this company over the next decade continuing to be a top Bitcoin miner, not going bankrupt, not having too much debt that they can't handle, by not diluting when necessary and not selling that Bitcoin when wise to, I think we're at the pinnacle of a growing industry and Cleanspark will remain a top Bitcoin miner. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Are you as bullish as me about Cleanspark and Bitcoin? Let me know why if you are, and let me know why not if you're not. But thanks for watching, guys. Hope you have a happy 4th of July. I appreciate all your support, and I'll see you guys soon.